Today, we are going to be talking to those SRites जो जमे रहे हैं while the COVID world has turned business as usual to business unusual. Hi guys, this is Supriya with you, and in today's episode of #SR Cares, brought to you by Essar Foundation, we're going to be chatting with a team that has been consistently bringing the vision of SR's businesses to the world of SR as well as the world outside of SR through compelling, powerful and authentic communication. So we're going to be talking to them in just a bit. Stay tuned to SR Radio, You, Me or Hum.
SR Radio, You, Me or Hum.
You are listening to SR Radio, You, Me or Hum.
We have the power to win the world. Let's go,
SR Cares, only on SR Radio.
On SR Radio today, it is SR Cares, brought to you by SR Foundation. And, communications has really taken center stage during this unprecedented pandemic that the world is facing. Needless to say, the world of communications has undergone a drastic transformation. Ever since the lockdown, it's been crucial for corporate communications to adapt to these rapidly changing times, along with building trust and purpose in all stakeholders for brand SR. And as the uncertainty around the COVID crisis continues, it's going to be a marathon and not a sprint for communications teams across the globe, including SRs. Time to get chatting with our marathoners and understand the different facets of communication in times of COVID. First up, we have Swastayan Roy, who's General Manager, Corporate Communications. Swastayan, a very warm welcome. As a specialist in crafting leadership messaging, you would agree that it's become all the more important for leaders to engage with empathy in times of crisis. Tell us what your take is.
Supriya, true leaders lead by example and not by coercion. And when you must lead by example, you need to have empathy. Each of us has a different situation in life. Each of us must operate under different circumstances. Even when we are faced with the same crisis, like the ongoing pandemic, for instance, we respond differently. This is why empathy becomes such a necessary quality. I've also always believed that genuine leadership is less about laying down the ground rules and more about showing a vision of the sky in which your people can sprout wings and fly. The spread of COVID-19 and the resultant complications that it has brought in its wake have really been a test of leadership. I think the most strident demonstration of leadership has been from our frontline COVID warriors. Many of them have gone to the extent of giving their own lives in the process of protecting other lives. I would like to believe that they made that call voluntarily rather than because of coercion from a leader who had no empathy. Many leaders continue to be faced with difficult choices when it comes to motivating their teams. I'm convinced that they would end up making the right choices as long as they have empathy. I would like you to play one of my favorite songs from one of my favorite artists, On the Radio by Regina Spektor. Thank you very much.
And it's absolutely our pleasure to be bringing this on to our platform on SR Radio and talking about it. It is absolutely inspiring. Well, more conversations, more interesting things that we'd like to bring to you. Stay tuned to SR Radio. This is SR Cares, brought to you by SR Foundation.
We have the power to win the world. Let's go,
SR Radio, You, Me or Hum.
SR Cares, only on SR Radio.
On today's SR Cares show, brought to you by SR Foundation, we're talking about how communications has really changed in the times of COVID. It's time now for us to speak to Srikanth Srinivasan, who's Joint General Manager, Corporate Communications, and he's a specialist in business communications and corporate reputation management. Srikanth, thanks so much for joining us. Businesses have displayed amazing agility in communicating with stakeholders. What, according to you, would be the essence of business communications in these times?
Hi Supriya. Thank you for having me on this show, and it has been amazing to stay in touch with all SRites through SR Radio. These have been difficult times, and we are still learning and adapting to the situation. From a communications perspective, two aspects are critical, especially in these circumstances. One is to communicate business continuity to our stakeholders, keep them motivated, and be a responsible corporate citizen. The second, but more critical aspect, is to respect the sensitivities associated with the times. So far, I think the collaborated efforts of business teams, SR Foundation, HR teams, and the content and design experts at SR's Corporate Communications Department have balanced the two aspects very well.
Thanks, Srikanth, for that insight. And I think at the end of the day, it's about team spirit and teamwork coming together. More in our show today as we speak to more people and bring you more perspectives. Stay tuned to SR Cares, brought to you by SR Foundation. SR Radio.
SR Cares, only on SR Radio.
As we continue our conversations and really look at how communications has changed in the current times on SR Cares today, brought to you by SR Foundation, it's time now for us to speak to Pratik Kayal, who is Joint General Manager, Marketing and Brands, and he is a digital and video communications specialist. Great having you on SR Radio, Pratik. COVID has clearly had a massive impact on digital media. What are your views on the increased digital content consumption that's happening today?
Hi Supriya, thanks for having me. Well, as you would have noticed, with most of the population working from home, there has been high social media engagement on digital platforms. So it becomes even more important for us to decide and build on content that the users can relate to. And SR's massive 11 lakh social community across platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn and YouTube helps in garnering good reach. Also, good content is always a result of inter-team and intra-team collaborations. I would specifically like to call out the graphic design team and the video team for continuing to deliver amazing work from their homes.
Well, thank you so much for that, Pratik. And it's, of course, exciting to know that we've all come together so brilliantly and made whatever circumstances we have work for us in the best way possible. There's a little more on the show today on SR Care, so do stay tuned for that. This is Supriya with you on SR Radio.
We have the power to win the world. Let's go,
SR Radio. You, me, or hum.
SR Cares, only on SR Radio.
Changing times and we're all adapting as well. That's the reality that we are faced with. And in these times, how has communications changed? That's what we're talking about. And before we wrap up the show today, I'd like to invite Fern Pais, who is Manager Corporate Communications, to tell us how integral CSR communications has become in times of the pandemic.
Thanks, Supriya. For me, communicating CSR is all about communicating with empathy and sincerity. Heart over head communications becomes essential in these difficult times. It's through communications that stakeholders get to know of the organization's role in bringing about positive change in its ecosystem. However, the speciality of CSR communications is that it urges the community to be part of the change. Of course, social media has encouraged people to participate and influence conversations that are meant to bring about change for the greater good of the society. Cases in point are SR Foundation's Sahej and Trans School initiatives brought to life by the CSR team under the leadership of our CEO, Mr. Kaustubh Sonalkar. It's indeed a privilege to be part of an organization that takes CSR very, very seriously.
Thanks, Fern, for sharing your perspective with us, and really a shout out to all of our SRites today who've been part of the show, sharing how communications has changed and really what we are doing to adapt and surge forward. On that note, it is time to say goodbye. Yet another week comes to an end. I hope you guys are feeling happy and, doing things that make you feel calm and satisfied at the end of the day. Right now, it's time to say goodbye. I'll see you very soon. Take care and stay safe. Bye, guys.
SR Radio. You, me, or hum.